Jobs, shit wages, make memory alone. Don't justify your TV times. Johnny Ramone, Sid, kebab spiders, easy riders and flag tits. You're just saying it all to look good. You're just saying it all to look. Jobs, shit wages, make memory alone. Don't justify your TV times. Johnny Ramone.
This is JJ from Once Somerville. Thanks so much for being here. It's great to see you. What you're about to enjoy is some special content created just for you by the Once family. We appreciate the time that the artists have given, and we've put a link to their tip jar in the comments below. We've also put a link there to our GoFundMe. This is one of the ways that we're going to get through this time until we can be open and together again. Art and community are our priorities here at Once. We really miss you. And we can't wait until we can all be back together. Until then, this is our way of holding our community close and continuing to make art. So, before you enjoy the show, a couple of notes. The bathrooms are in the back. On the left, no flash photography, and as always, no crowd surfing. Enjoy. We'll see you soon.
Oh, I like this format. It's nice to see everybody. So before I share my screen, I'm going to talk about The Flowers of Romance today, an album that I had a decent amount to do with during my time with PIL. Any questions before I start? Anybody in the chat? Sitting in the way, hey, Caroline. This is a nightly thing then, eh? And yeah, if you want to buy me a beer, info@undergroundinc.com. This is my fourth or fifth event for Once, and I'm really happy to talk about this time in my, is it my fifth? Okay. Thank you, Diane. It was my 61st, it was my 61st birthday on Monday. The fuck is up with that? It's crazy, isn't it? Hey, Tristan. Holy shit, man. How you doing? I'm down here in the basement, man. Tristan and I spent some considerable amount of time down here in the basement. It's really getting cool. It's turning into like an art gallery space. It's cool as hell. Got some of my, just showing Tristan here. We've got the hubcap marimba from Ministry and Test Department, my Killing Joke scenery, all kinds of Killing Joke dollar bills, Pigface, Newcastle Brown Ale, my voodoo dolls, a new Stay the Fucking Side poster, and a bunch of pill stuff from this time that we're going to be talking about today. So let me share my screen and we'll get to it. Okay, good idea, Martin.
Don't forget, docs, share your computer stuff.
Oh, thanks, Molly. Because you know what? Why would I have remembered that? I'm going to share my computer sound.
Bottom left.
Uh-oh. Did you see that little prompt there?
No, what did it say?
Share computer audio I needed to do something.
Did you say make it do it?
I don't think I did. Should I go back a screen? What do you think?
Maybe just in case, or we can try it real quick.
I'm going to stop sharing. Now I'm going to share. Now I'm going to hit share computer sound. Okay. Okay. We'll see. Do I want to save the changes? Yeah, save of changes.
It's like really big. Oh, it just went away.
Okay.
Oh no.
Sorry about that, everyone. Oh, you can see all my other PowerPoints from today.
Well.
Okay, can you see my shit?
Yeah. Love that map.
I just wanted to mention this for a second. I was having a chat today with somebody who was saying one of the things that we're all trying to do now, or some people are trying to do, is expand the world, expand into it, join it together. And this map just kind of says that to me. These are the sign-ups for our free online touring class. You get a free copy of my first book, Tour Smart. And I'm just liking this stuff. And I guess my message here is do something now, reach out now, build a bridge now. You'll be glad you did. We had a great session on Tuesday night. We chatted for 45 minutes after my touring class finished. There's a guy from New Zealand on the line. It was just great. So do stuff, I guess. And these are the dots all over. Hey, that's you. Where's is Caroline on this somewhere? There you are, Caroline. There you go, Vegas. Brilliant. So we're going to talk about the making of the Flowers of Romance album. And to do that, I'm going to take you back just a little bit to set the scene. I joined Pill in 1979, just in time to play on the last song to go on the Metal Box and co-write a song called Bad Baby, which was recorded at a studio called the Townhouse in London. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But we hit the US 12 shows in 30 days, just a ridiculously decadent tour for such a punk band. Post-punk band. I still have my diary from 1980. It's one of those tiny diaries with a pencil stuck in the spine so you can make notes about all of the amazing things that are happening to you. This Saturday, May 3rd, American Bandstand went out to 18 million people. If you haven't seen that, it's really worth looking it up on YouTube. There are some great photographs from John Bryan King, which is allowing me to use in my book about my time in PIL. I love this photograph. I don't know why Keith Levine is behind the drum kit. God bless him. No tom-toms. It just seemed unnecessary because we were miming. So I'm just sitting down there on the drum riser with my Johnny Rotten shirt on, which is behind me. How ridiculous is that? I've still got this shirt 30 years later. No, it doesn't fit. Doesn't wobble look like a fucking pop star, right? Just leaning up against his bass rig. There's a whole series of great photographs from this time period. I don't know if you've seen this clip. Basically, we had two songs, Careering and Pop Tones, both of which were too long for the format of American Bandstand. So Warner Brothers had somebody edit the songs down to 4.5 minutes. It's fine for me because the beat for Careering is dun, 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 dun whatever. Circular beat to pop tones. But for John, it was a problem because he didn't know when the vocals were going to come in. Not that he did any other time either, but I digress. So when we started to play the songs, he just ran away from the cameras, and ABC did a fantastic job of following him around the studio and covering this. I could just imagine camera 2, zoom in, camera, whatever the camera that is. Yeah. Dick Clark was really upset. John was looking to the audience to provide some cover. He went up on the rostrum there. He went up to Dick Clark's podium, which I think was like taboo. And Dick Clark was like, John, do you want to come down from there? And John's like, yeah, no. This guy's crawling around on the floor with a camera. They covered it exceptionally well. The audience didn't know what to do. This is Dick Clark asking John if he wants to come down, and he's basically like, okay, he doesn't want to come down. He was so angry. This is my favorite picture of all time of anything. I want to rent a movie theater and just put this photograph up on the screen with some music that rises and falls and just have nothing happen, because you could just see it all in his face. I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm an icon. Who are these fuckers? This fucking Johnny Rotten asshole. It's come to this. Dun, 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 dun. I just love this photograph. John Brian King captured all of this. At this point, I've given up. I'm playing bass. I'm playing Wobble's bass. He's playing the drums. I don't know where Keith is. I don't see Keith anywhere. I see this guy. I recognize that. Oh, is that guy playing guitar? He's kind of somebody who was hanging around with us. Crazy. This is a shot in the dressing room from earlier. Here's Jeanette Lee. Here's an interesting, interesting fact for you. We were listening to Sleaford Mods before we started, a track called Job Seeker. And Jeanette, who's also on the front cover of the Flowers of Romance album, Jeanette is now a co-director of Rough Trade Records and is involved with Sleaford Mods. So it's kind of weird. I didn't choose that track consciously, but kind of interesting. There's that guy. There's that guy again. I don't know where he's from. This is a bad photograph from a different source. This is my arm here holding the Public Image Limited sign from the dressing room door. And this guy's got one as well. I still have that. It's in the other room. I still have my sign from the dressing room door in the other room. Yeah. So we played the Olympic Auditorium in Los Angeles. I insisted on having my name in plastic letters. Otherwise, I wasn't going to perform. So they inserted my name in between Keith Levine's name. So careful what you wish for. But it was kind of a troubled tour. 10,000 people at the Olympic Auditorium. Somebody turned on the fire hoses. We didn't have any security. Police helicopters, riot police on horseback. It was just crazy. And we went up from Los Angeles to San Francisco for the last show. Joe Wobble's last show with us, if that's something that you're interested in. I really like playing with Joe Wobble. I love his bass playing. But we did a radio interview in San Francisco. And I asked the interviewer to ask me why I had a project called Brian Brain, my little punk band. We had a single called They Got Me in a Bottle, which was released before the Pill tour and was in the alternative charts, number 23 in the alternative charts while we were in the US touring. It was in the charts in the UK. So I asked the interviewer to ask us on the air why I had my own project whilst also being in PIL. And he asked me on the air and I answered him on the air because I want to do something that isn't a disorganized clusterfuck. I guess I was at the end of my rope. 10,000 people at the Los Angeles show. Did we have any t-shirts? No. The bootleggers did. We were so mismanaged. 11 shows in 30 days. Each of us had a hotel suite. We flew everywhere. Maybe we thought the label was paying for it because I was 20. John wasn't much older, but should have known better. Keith had been in the Clash before PIL. It was just a mess. So it should have come as no surprise to me when we got back to the UK, I was fired. I set about doing some more work with my band Brian Brain and made a go of that. Then a few months after that, the band started to record The Flowers of Romance. It's number 42 on Kurt Cobain's handwritten list of the best albums or his favorite albums of all time. However, I choose to say, hold on a minute, Stooges, Colossal Youth, blah, blah, blah. I think it's number 3. Reading left to right, it's number 3 on his list of all-time favorite albums. It's got some good stuff. Typical Girls by the Slits. That's actually John's partner, John's wife, Nora Foster. She is Ariana Slit's mom. Ariana's sadly no longer with us, but interesting fact there. So first off, if I can just say to anybody from Pitchfork, you fucking suck. I don't care. I was 61 on Monday. I'm not looking for a break and a good review to make my career. I don't give a fuck. Pitchfork, you fucking suck. They advertised a deep dive into the Flowers of Romance album, and I was excited to read it. It didn't include any of the studios that we were in or any information about the studios. It was written by Vivian Goldman, who I really like. She just wrote an interesting piece about being in a studio in the countryside. Anyway, so we did some recording at the Townhouse Studios, which was kind of a hallowed place, really, in the, I want to say 81, 82. Elton John recorded Candle in the Wind there. Queen were actually in Studio A when we were in Studio B. There's 3 rooms there. I remember sitting as a 20-year-old in the studio thinking, what if Freddie Mercury's in the toilet having a piss? I'll fucking smash him in the face. Like we were idiots. But the Townhouse was an amazing studio. If you're interested in details, SSL console to get that slamming drum sound. Kylie Minogue, Oasis, XTC, Robbie Williams, Peter Gabriel, Joan Armour Trading, and was very popular because of Studio 2's Stone Room, where Hugh Padgham allegedly, I think, got the crazy drum sound that was in Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight. And that's one of the rooms we recorded Flowers of Romance drums in. The drum room in Studio 2 is all stone. Oh, bottles of milk. I'll get back to that. It's an all stone drum room. So if you know anything about sound, it's just gonna sound like clapping hands in the church. Wow. But also, there's a basement underneath with nothing in it. So the floor of the drum room acts as its own, like a drum in and of itself, which is pretty crazy, right? So this is a world famous studio. They also had a mastering suite there. And after we were there, they introduced the ability to record directly from the studio, bypassing tape or any digital completely, and recording straight to the cutting head of the mastering lathe, direct to disc recording. It's kind of crazy. Why the bottles of milk? We used to do overnight sessions. We got studio time for half price. So when we left the studio at 5 or 6 in the morning, there was always bottles of milk on the step. And we gleefully would grab a pint of milk and chug it on the way home. Like, yeah, we just paid $4,000 for an overnight session, but I got a free pint of milk. Fuck you, Virgin Records, who owned the Townhouse Studios. Yeah, sad, sad, sad. Yeah, this is also where Sir Elton John recorded Candle in the Wind. But sadly, like so many of these studios, it's been converted into £2 million, $3 million luxury townhouses. I think there's like 8 in the complex. They did it to the power station in New York. It's just like something they do. I guess as a realtor, you can compare faucets and 6-burner stoves and ranges and whatever those fancy refrigerators are called. But if you like how crazy to be in someone's living room and go, yeah, Lou Reed did heroin in this room, in your toilet, where your toilet is. Lou Reed did heroin in your children's nursery. Just jacks up the price, right? Because of the vibe. We also recorded, my recollection, I've got to check with Pete Jones, bass player in Brian Brain and Public Image Limited on this. My recollection is that he took me up to the Manor recording studios to do some recording for Flowers of Romance as well. This is another studio owned by Richard Branson out in the countryside. It's where Mike Oldfield was allowed to make Tubular Bells. He did that on what's called a spec deal. Richard Branson just let him use the studio as long as he cleaned it and made it nice for whoever was coming in the morning. Pretty good deal. I think that album sold 16 million copies and really helped Virgin Records establish itself. This townhouse had a fireplace like something out of the Hound of the Baskervilles movie, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes story. Huge fireplace where you'd have to put like half a tree in it to even have anything going on in the fireplace. And they had these 3 massive dogs, the biggest dogs you've ever seen, huge heads. And they were just gorgeously quiet, relaxing, frightening and then relaxing. And they'd lie by the big fireplace. And then one of them got sick and died. And the other 2 got really sad. And eventually all 3 of them died. I'm having memories about this. Okay, I was rummaging around for this earlier. The townhouse studio itself, this is it pictured at the bottom of their letterhead, which I still have in the room over there. What were you doing during the Flowers of Romance album? Oh, it was brilliant. I was stealing letterheaded paper from the office, which somebody had inadvertently left open. Brilliant. The studio, the building itself did not have any windows because it was recording studios. So this was, what do you call it, trompe l'oeil, fooling the eye painting. And so they did that on the letterhead as well. There's a guy, the guy who painted the thing is painting the letterhead. Yeah, I just have all this stuff. It's sad. It would be sad. I would be a sad hoarder, except I'm an archivist, so fuck off. So here's the deal. I joined the band in '79. I played on Metal Box. We did John Peel. We did the Old Grey Whistle Test, live television, which I used to watch as a kid. So it freaked me out. It was cool as hell. I wore that shirt in that for that show. We went to America and toured and did American Bandstand and played to 10,000 people. We played in Paris in January of 1980. And my first show was recorded as Paris au Printemps. So I was intensely in the band for a while and then fired because of argument on the air in San Francisco. I think got into a big fight with John afterwards. So when they asked me to come to the studio to work on the new album, I'm like, yeah. Oh, like what's going on? I recorded, co-wrote Bad Baby on the Metal Box, but they've had 6 months, 7 months, 8 months without me. Have they worked on a bunch of songs? I didn't know how Pill worked in the studio. Did they have a bunch of songs and maybe they needed tambourine and some bongos on a track? You know, where would I fit in? Where would I fit in as a person? Because I kind of stood up to John and Keith, and I didn't like the situations that Keith would get himself into. I don't think that's any secret there. And I stood up to John and criticized the band openly on the air. So where is my place within the group as a person? Is there room for me to play? Are there done drums? What I'm trying to say is I approached the situation with some trepidation. When I get to the
We couldn't hear you over that music like that whole time that you were
Molly,
talking.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Molly, text me. Can you hear me now? Okay. Wow. So I needn't have worried, I guess. I don't know anybody who has that recording that you didn't hear. I think it should be released. I think Paul McCartney can fuck off. I think Paul McCartney would like it, actually. When you hear Johnny Rotten singing "Wah!" Twist and Shout over the Beatles, there's something called a schema where your head just goes, it just fucks your head up. It's like being asked to say green when the word green is blue, right? Fucks your head up. So I'm like, okay, that was kind of cool. That was kind of a fun 10 minutes. What did you do for the other 4.5 days? Oh, you could hear Twist and Shout? Oh.
That was like all we could hear.
I usually just play like 10 seconds of that.
Yeah, I played like a long time of it. I was into it, but.
So, the next song they played for me was Johnny Remember Me, with John playing violin, which you don't actually want to happen. Somebody playing a beat, probably Keith, and a cover version of Johnny Remember Me with Jeanette and Susie, whose last name I've forgotten, singing backing vocals. This is crazy. So basically, everything was wide open. Everything was wide open for me to do what I wanted. Nick Launay, who's still working as a producer today, probably, certainly this week. He has his own studio in Los Angeles now. I talked with Nick for a while. I interviewed him for my book. And Nick, I think, was just like 10 weeks into his career. He said, I remember quite a lot of it because, you know, that's the first record I ever made. He engineered it and it was life-changing for him. I think he produced it. I know producers now, and he was absolutely delighted and engaged and in full flow on this album. It's being at the right place at the right time, getting a lucky break and fucking grabbing that lucky break with all your might and making something out of it. And that's exactly what happened for me. Back in the UK at that time, I think everyone's bag of amphetamine sulfate or speed was like a cell phone because we never went anywhere without it. And weirdly, at this time in the UK, the television would stop at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. They just turn, there was only 3 channels anyway, maybe 4, probably 3. They'd turn all the television channels off so everybody would go to sleep and be good for work the next day. It's kind of government control. So I'd be up constantly speeding, losing my mind, reading through magazines. And now I'm wondering if you're hearing this ticking. Were you hearing ticking and not me then? Okay, well, I'm going to play you this. I'm going to play you this ticking Mickey Mouse watch for a little bit, knowing that you can't hear me. I'm going to play it for you a little bit. But let me tell you, I bought that Mickey Mouse watch. It's over here. It's over there. Whatever. At Disneyland, when we went to Disneyland after the Olympic, I would hear all of these rhythms inside of the watch, you know, and think about playing along. And I mean, fuck me, if that isn't industrial music, right? Psychic TV, Dreams Less Sweet, recording telephone ringing as music from different places in the stereo field. So we're post-punk, and I want to play along to my Mickey Mouse watch. So Molly was going to play a video clip right now, but do you have that queued up, Molly?
Yeah. Do you want me to share my screen, or do you want me to send?
This was an event we did at Cards Against Humanity Theatre here in Chicago, which covers 3 of the songs that I performed. It's just a 5-minute long video clip, and it's just, I feel like playing the drums. I don't have my drums set up, but here's a video clip of me talking about 3 songs from the Flowers of Romance.
Okay. Can you see my screen now? Martin, can you hear me? Can you turn your volume up on your laptop? Is it off?
then I was watching Grey Whistle Test, which we did, I think we did that in February of 1980. And I was watching a band called Chieftains. And they were using a thing called a baran, where you get the triplet on the other side of the stick. I'm just watching that stuff. I bought this trumpet in Paris, and we used that on one of the tracks. I think it was on Foreign Closed Walls, and this is not cocaine related. It's insane. It's a toy trumpet. And there's a cup from the BBC because I'm an archivist. You blow in the end of the trumpet, and this sort of diaphragm hits a switch, which starts a miniature record player, which plays a 3-inch record of somebody playing trumpet. It's like, Or you could just give somebody a phone number with like, I'll play trumpet in your house. So you could choose different little records and play the different trumpet shit. And there's some kind of interesting dispute about the Flowers of Romance track itself. I thought it was me playing drums on the Flowers of Romance track. And after, like, a couple of years ago, John and his manager like, yeah, it is you, Martin. I'm like, I thought it was me. I thought it was me. So that was one of the things I was going to put in the book, was actually, it's me playing on that track. And when I was out in California talking to Nick Launay, Nick's like, yeah, oh, I don't know if it is you, Martin. It sounds a little bit stumbly to be you, which is kind of nice, you know. So here I am, just so you know. I have a letter from John's lawyer and the management company saying, it's you playing drums on this track, Martin. But I'm trying to unearth some stuff. It wouldn't be correct for me to just kind of, you know, put all this other information in the shredder. So, I don't know if it's me playing drums on it. Sounds like me playing drums, but maybe it isn't. Hit it. Oh, you want me to? I'll hit it and then you. Makes me want to, oh, do I have to share my screen again?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, shit. Makes me want to hit my drums. So I don't know if you saw this clearly in that video clip. It's like, this is just, it's just over here. It's right next to me. My BBC cup and my plastic telephone. Sad bastard that I am. So these are the tracks recorded for the Flowers of Romance sessions. Track 8. Oh, come on. Flowers of Romance, Under the House, that triplet rhythm, banging the door. And then here's where it gets strange at the end here. Part of these same sessions. Home is Where the Heart Is, which I'll talk to you about in a second. 1981. I think Home is Where the Heart Is was the beginning of Nick Launay's involvement. A song called 1981, which we released on This Is What You Want, This Is What You Get for those pill aficionados of you. But it was recorded in 1981. It's part of this whole set of sessions. I don't think there's any guitar on 1981. I recorded something called The Friendly Wood Nymphs with Roland string synths and some beats and kind of sleigh bells. How punk is that? Sleigh bells, motherfucker. A track called Vampire, which was just released on some kind of box set, an everything box set. But the version I've heard is just a beat with slowed down vocals. I was speaking into a reel-to-reel tape machine that was recording at 30 inches a second. And then we played it back at 1¼ inches per second. And it just sounded like dinosaurs coming out of some primordial soup. And just as I played, as I play now with loops in my headphones, right, to vibe me up. But just as I played to my Mickey Mouse watch, I played to this crazy sound of dinosaurs. I also drank some Perrier and we slowed that down as well. It's pretty cool. And of course, Twist and Shout and Johnny Remember Me. I'd be very interested at some point, and I actually, I might do this, is to put a Spotify playlist together, except fuck Spotify, but I might put a Spotify playlist together and put these tracks from these sessions where I feel like this was a very creative time for me and a very creative time for Nick Launay to make these things happen. A lot's been said from John and from Keith about who did what. And I understand when journalists would say to John, your ideas for the Flowers of Romance, how did you direct the thing? What was your vision? The truth was, John's vision for the Flowers of Romance was put us in a studio and see what happened. That doesn't mean put all of us in a studio and jam and see what happened. What actually happened was I'd go in the studio with Nick Launay, create a fairly finished track between the two of us. And sometimes Keith would do some keyboards over the top or some guitar. But the miraculous part of this album for me was John would be listening on the other side of a door, sometimes on a couch in front of the console. Sometimes you didn't know he was in the room for like 4 hours and you just get up. But he would walk into the vocal booth and lay down a fully formed vocal, verse, chorus, structure across some things that didn't have much structure or counter to a structure we'd established. And to me, that was miraculous. It was like, whoa, I guess we wrote a fucking pop song instead of some crazy experimental chasing its tail thing. And when journalists ask a question about John's vision, I understand it, because singers and guitarists do that. Hey, I've got this song. It goes like this for 16 bars, then it changes. That's what neither John nor Keith did that. And I don't care. It's been 30 years since all this happened. I'm not trying to get a production credit, but I think it denies the magical, charismatic genius of John when you try and credit him with being a producer, directing his band to deliver these songs that he had in his head. It was magical and miraculous. I don't know if I'm making any sense out of that. You can grill me on that when we do the chat afterwards, right? But that's what that, yeah. Strange time. And as far as Keith Levine's contribution, he did Jaime's Hymn. That's why it's called Jaime's Hymn. He had some synth contributions here and there. But mainly, I would say I knew which room Keith had nodded out in when I saw him, and I could see the imprint of whichever carpeting was in the room he was face down on the floor in. Yeah. Oh, here's something interesting. The track Home Is Where the Heart Is. As you can see down here, it was actually the B-side of the Flowers of Romance single, which I didn't get a credit for. Thanks, guys. And here's Home Is Where the Heart Is. Levine, Wobble, Lydon, Walker. Jim Walker was the drummer before me who played, well, 5 drummers before me. He played on first edition. So this became fuel for a guy called Clinton Halen, who looked at this and said, listening to Jim Walker's drumming on Home Is Where the Heart Is, in every category really, timing, vibe, energy, charisma, feeling, tempo, skill. Home Is Where the Heart Is, and Jim Walker's drumming proves to me he's the better drummer when compared to Martin Atkins' drumming on Bad Baby or another song. And, but in fact, Clinton Halen was comparing my drumming on Home Is Where the Heart Is to my drumming. I'm going to meet Clinton Halen soon. He's hanging out in Tulsa working on some stuff. But this would lead me to my conclusion that all music journalists are, in fact, cunts, the lot of them. Okay. The day we finished recording Flowers of Romance sessions, I'm going to bring this back to Boston now to end this. The day we finished recording, Pete Jones, the bass player from Brian Brain, came to the studio to pick me up because we had a US tour for my band Brian Brain, our second or third US tour actually. And I didn't have time to work on Flowers of Romance, but of course I did. And then Pete came and got me. We went to the airport and flew to the States to tour with Brian Brain. It was 21 shows in 21 days. 3 shows in, we played at the 930 Club in Washington, D.C. And somebody, a Marine, I think, baseball pitched a full bottle of Heineken, which hit me in the face. It felt to me like somebody had just splashed beer on my face. Pete Jones got some broken glass in his eyes. You won't be able to see this. I still have a scar across my face. I ended up needing 16 stitches and 8 subcutaneous stitches to seal up this ridiculous wound in my head. So how punk is it then to answer the question, when did you stop playing, Martin? Why did you stop playing? Because you were smashed in the face with a bottle? No, we had to stop playing because all the microphones in the building were full of blood. Isn't that awesome? It was just blood streaming everywhere. We just had to stop because none of the microphones would work anymore. 10 years after this show, maybe 15, 20 years after this show, I met a couple. I was out on the road with Pigface, and I met this couple who came to me and said, oh, we were at a show at the 930 Club in Washington, D.C., 3 locations from before it is where it is now. And they had this startled expression on their faces. Like, I'm like, still, right? I'm like, yeah, well, what a crazy show that was. I remember I was bottled in the face. And he said, yeah, that was the first time we did acid. I'm like, oh my God. Because one of the things I did with this 16 stitches open wound in my head was I started to make it sing like I was a ventriloquist. Robert, hello. Imagine doing acid for the first time and being in the front row of a Brian Brain concert. And then everything starts to go like this. And then there's fluid from somewhere. There's a beer splashing around. And then the singer starts singing through an open wound in the top of his head. Yes. I was at George Washington University Hospital 2 days before Ronald Reagan. I can't help but think, if the timing had been different, I could have been in the bed next to Ronald Reagan. I could have, like in the middle of the night, delirious from a head wound, I could have snuck out of my bed and blown Ronald Reagan. I have to live with that. I had 16 stitches across my face, and now it's super glue. Back in 1982, it was catgut stitches, like Frankenstein fucking stitches across my face, you know? But they put a dressing across it, and we flew down to New Orleans for St. Patrick's Day. We ended up on the steamship Natchez, drinking green beer. And the river was dyed green, we're drinking green beer, and it was so American. It was so American. Me and Pete Jones just like, this is so American. And there were lots of children on the steamboat going up and down the Mississippi. So we drank a lot. And then I removed the dressing from my wound, which was now blue and yellow, bruised, and the stitches and purple in the middle, just to frighten the children, really. Did a pretty good job. But something happened by removing the dressing. I managed to get the wound infected, so I end up in New Orleans General. And then we have a week that was uneventful until we get to the Mabuhay Gardens, legendary punk club in San Francisco. It's startling to me for 2 reasons. Somebody booked us 2 shows at the same venue, which Brian Brain would. I love Brian Brain. It was never huge. We did okay. We played the Ritz in New York, but 2 shows the same day was kind of like, holy shit. But I think I was 21 at the time. Our rider for the 3 of us was 4 cases of Heineken, liter of vodka, liter of whiskey, liter of brandy, probably something else as well. And because we were doing 2 shows, they gave that to us twice. So I did my best to consume that. And the first show was great. My first time in a mosh pit was actually the second show, as I was passed across the mosh pit strapped to a stretcher by the ambulance, the EMS staff who'd been called to get me to hospital because I was unconscious from alcohol poisoning. So 3rd stop in hospital, San Francisco General. And then we have an uneventful few days. We played probably a club called Spit in Boston. We played Storyville, Spit, 13 Lansdowne Street or 14 Lansdowne Street, the Channel, somewhere else. But we did our last show. We always did. Boston was like a hometown for us. Lots of towns were hometowns for Brian Brain. And then the night before we have to leave to get our plane, we went to the Rathskeller in Kenmore Square in Boston. I don't think it's around anymore. Is it condos? And we discovered White Russians, a cocktail which we just thought was great. I don't know why. And so we just went for a night out. We thought we'd get really drunk, wake up in time to catch the plane, and get drunk on the plane and wake up in England. So we went with our friends, Anne-Marie, Karen, a bunch of girls that we used to hang out with in Boston, who used to hang out with everybody. You two stayed at their house. Just super cool, awesome people. So we're there. It's just an end of tour. We made it almost. Drink at the Rat. And we're just chatting away. And there's a band on. Fuck you. Fuck your sister. Oh, I'm going to fuck your mother. I fuck your sister with a fuck. Now, weirdly for me, it just got annoying. The profanity was just annoying. So I said to Pete Jones, I've been drunk for 21 days. I said to Pete Jones, the bass player, if you buy me a White Russian, Pete, I'll fucking take care of this bullshit. I managed to get 2 White Russians out of Pete. Drunk the White Russians, and I get up, they're still saying, fuck this, fuck that. I like, unplug the mic, grab the microphone off the singer, push him onto the dance floor, unplug the guitar, unplug the bass, knock over a couple of cymbal stands, knock over the bass player's microphone, unplug something else, pick up a monitor because the singer's rolling around on the dance floor, throw a monitor at the singer. And then I realized I'd gone too far. So I stood there on stage ready to honorably take my medicine. And I'm waiting for the band to jump on my back and for all of their fans to jump on me and give me a good kicking. Nothing happened. People are applauding. People start sending me drinks. I'm like a fucking hometown hero. So we carry on drinking for another couple of hours. Then I go to the bathroom. I'm in the toilet having a piss. And somebody smashes my head from behind into the bathroom wall, break my nose, knock myself unconscious. And as I fall backwards, kicks me in the face and breaks my jaw. And if I ever saw G.G. Allen again, hey, I spent the next 6 years looking for G.G. Allen, actually. This is my good friend Pete Jones, having a blast, taking pictures. What a mess. My mom cried. Oh, you can see my scar there. Kind of, it's not a great photograph. What a fucking mess. I had to drink shakes through a straw for the next 6 weeks. Just crazy. These are crazy times, right? I still have my my discharge sheet. Oh, 4681. Okay, I thought it was 82. Patient is a 21-year-old punk rock band singer. Yeah, motherfuckers, who presents after alleged assault at the Rat this evening. Love all this shit. Love all this shit. So just to wrap this up, after this, John, Jeanette, and Keith moved to New York. They did This Is Them After the Rich show where they played behind a screen. So many awesome people were at that show. I wasn't at that show. On the next Brian Brain tour, they came down to the Mud Club where my band Brian Brain was playing. Bob Tulipan, who was managing the band at the time, asked me to rejoin. Kind of like this picture from Maureen Baker. And then we start recording the next album, and there we go. But that's my story of the, G.G. Allen did that, Patrick. Yeah, Do you know that story, Betsy? Surely you've heard that story 100 times. But it seems kind of outrageous to me. Hospital here, hospital there, hospital here. It's just a crazy time, right? Just a really crazy time. So that's my Flowers of Romance remembrances. Can we take some questions? Anybody want to chat?
Yeah. Hey, Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Jamie from Once. And one thing I want to say is we've really enjoyed the last month. You've been with us every Wednesday for the past month, and it's been an amazing experience. And I think what you've presented us should be required viewing for anyone that's in a band. Like, you gave us all the nuggets of like how to market yourself and do all that great stuff. One thing I do want to extend to you is, if you're ever at Once Somerville, you get free White Russians for life. Do you still have them? Would you still drink a White Russian?
So this is like madness. See, I'm flashing forwards like 18 months. Like, yeah, no, we got through the pandemic and then it all went wrong and we're out of business. What happened? Was there another pandemic? Was there a problem with the sound? Was there a lawsuit? No. Martin Atkins was here for 2 days drinking White Russians, put us out of business. I mean, I'm English, but right. Thank you. I will absolutely, I would absolutely take you up on that.
All right, great.
Yeah, I need some macaroni and cheese from JJ as well. She was talking about macaroni and cheese last week. So
we could probably get you a mac and cheese as well. But before we go over to this is trending on Twitter right now. The WWMAD, what would Martin Atkins do? That it's trending on Twitter right now.
Wow.
But before we get to that, we put together just a short clip of the last few weeks with you.
Okay.
That I'd like to share, and then we will open it up to the audience.
Great.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, I'm going to go on Twitter.
Yeah, great.
Ha! Zoom world. I'm Martin Atkins, coming to you live from Invisible Records HQ with my stolen sign from Washington Mutual. I started at the age of fucking 60. I started to dawn on me that creativity and entrepreneurship and punk fucking rock all applied together can make a difference. The wonderful thing is, if you just do it, people will forgive however shitty it is, the thing that you do. Bake a cake for someone, if it tastes like dust, people will forgive you. You know what? I think they will. Maybe you experiment. Maybe that's your first merchandise, is a cake that tastes like dust. Your fans, your friends, people who love you will drink a glass of milk and go, right? And now you've got a story, and people will be like, I fucking hate that cake, but I really like this person. I like this artist, and I want to support them. Just jump in and start doing this stuff. You could commission a voodoo doll. My voodoo doll getting a higher score in Scrabble than me. If you give up on those ridiculous ideas of success, you don't need 4.5 million people to stream your music. You need 300 people to buy your double album in the signed hand screen glow in the dark thing. You just need to change your thinking. Creative problem solving. And one way to do that is to sit and, try and come up with a solution. Another way is to feed your brain looking at other people's different pathways and ideas. anybody with half a brain would say, what happens if you give somebody a shirt? And I would say, somebody who's walking to the booth with $20 for a shirt, you give them a shirt, more often than not, the person you gave the shirt to says, oh, wow, thank you for the shirt. But you'll always be the person, I gave them a shirt, right? So you start this chemistry, this reaction, this relationship, and this exchange. 8 years later, you'll meet those people. You crazy fuck. You jumped on our bus. We were going to punch you. We fucking love that book. It saved our ass, the chapter about this or that. You're just planting seeds all the time. Stop. I got ink. I got fucking ink on my hand. Stop, inky fingers. One of my kids said to me, we've got this publicity thing, Dad. We're like zombies. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, well, one zombie bites a person. Now there's two zombies. And those two zombies bite two people. There's 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 grains of wheat on the chessboard. So I think one of the problems is we're trying to go, how do I get recognition on the World Wide Web? Yeah. How do I get the person next to me in the coffee shop to fucking pay attention? How can I help a person down the street? Stay local at first and build something, and do something noteworthy. I think that the easiest thing to do right now is help. We're doing lots of stuff helping people, and people will help you back. I used to say to bands all the time, support the scene and the scene will support you. What I mean is, one of the reasons I like to teach music business is not because of the amazing world of music business, but that it's a minefield, it's a swamp, it's a maze. And creates a great platform through which to teach a creative problem-solving mindset. And if you can get that by any means, you are unstoppable in any field. I think your goal should be relationships, interaction, helping people now before you help yourself. I think there's way more stories, vibe in helping other people right now. And I think if you are authentic, and there's that word, but if the things you're doing are authentic, and it works. Somebody said, "Ooh, are you cold?" Like, no, my hair is a fucking catastrophe. And before anybody's like, "Since when has your hair not been a catastrophe, Martin?" Fuck off.
All right. Well, thanks again, Martin. That was amazing. And
that was really strange to see me ranting like a maniac.
Yeah, that was just a couple highlights, and I don't know if anyone that's on the Zoom today, please go back and watch the content. It's available on YouTube for eternity, and should be required viewing for anyone. But yeah, what we'd like to do now is please turn on your video. And if you have a question for Martin, we will unmute you. So just please ask a question in the chat and we'll make sure that we unmute you so you can figure out what would Martin Atkins do. So yeah, please ask your questions.
Well, that's weird after this episode where I'm talking about drugs, amphetamine sulfate, and being in 4 hospitals in 21 days. But yeah, okay. So anybody have a question?
I do. Yeah, I got one. Hey, Martin, can you hear me?
Hey, yeah. How you doing?
Hey, yeah, Martin, I'm 44 years old now. It's probably my first time seeing you was maybe Killing Joke or Pill or something at Bogart's. I remember you would spit gum. You would be playing drums. You'd spit and catch it in your mouth. Was that spit or gum? Or you still do that? What was?
Okay. Well, you asked me. Don Powell, the drummer from Slade, was the only drummer I've seen chew gum and play, and I just thought that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I would start to chew gum while I played, and when you chew gum, your mouth fills with spit, right? So I had to spit somewhere, and then maybe once every 5 gigs, I'd like spit directly up in the air, and it would come down, and I'd like catch it again, and it would make my drum tech Boozy, my first drum tech. She would just like freak out when she saw me swallowing my own spit. I would just I tried to do it, and then sometimes there's a couple of times. This is probably more detail than anybody wants, but it's got blood in it, so let's go. If my gum comes out, I bite my tongue, and the first time that this happened, I bit my tongue quite badly and was like swallowing a lot of blood while I was playing. You can't stop like a Killing Joke show, right? Stop, yeah. I'm bleeding, fuck off. So I just start spitting out blood and onto my snare drum, and it's going up in the air. And I'm like, oh, this is fucking brilliant. So then I start, now I always pour milk, sometimes water, always, sometimes water and ice cubes. It completely destroys the sound of the drum, the microphones, but it just looks, when it's lit from underneath, it just looks fantastic. But that started with bleeding heavily and spitting out blood instead of swallowing it.
Well, that's like it's a token, something that you're kind of known for, I think.
Yeah, and stripy shirts. My stripy shirt.
Pablo Picasso shirt, right?
Yeah. My stripy shirt is a tribute to a guy called Alex Harvey, the sensational Alex Harvey band. I saw him when I was 12, play to 200 people, and it was such a theatrical show. It's an amazing theatrical show. And I saw the band go from 200 people to Wembley Stadium, and I was supposed to meet him. So I grew up like idolizing this guy, and I was supposed to meet him because we shared the same music publisher. And all of his album art, the original album art, was on the walls. I'm like, why do you have all of Alex Harvey's album art on the walls? Oh, we're his publisher too. He's in Europe. Do you want to have dinner when he gets back? I'm like, oh my God. And he died on the ferry of a heart attack before he got to England. So then I started wearing stripy shirts as kind of a tribute, because he used to wear stripy shirts all the time.
Hey, one more thing. What's your feelings of Bill Laswell? I know his Pill was my favorite era, was with the Laswell, with the dub stuff.
I honestly, Bill Laswell did mixed 6 songs for the Damage Manual, and I could not wait to hear what he did with the raw material that I recorded. That was kind of disappointing for me. I liked the work he did on album. He actually did a bunch of that work before John got involved. John just sang over the tracks that Bill Laswell had with Ginger Baker, Steve Vai, etc. So I rate him as a producer, just not.
Okay, well, I understand. Thank you.
Nice to see you. Anybody else have a question? Hey, Betsy, are you there? Oh, Betsy, you're not there. Okay. Hey, Jeremy, you got a question?
Sure. Do you remember Bogarts?
Yeah, I remember Bogarts really well.
Cincinnati. I remember a Pigface, and that we talked about this earlier on the post with the Ogre, where he didn't come out.
Uh-oh. Did I freeze or did you freeze? Do you know, across from Bogarts, Sudsy Malone's.
Sudsy Malone's, yes, Sudsy Malone's.
Okay. I went to Sudsy Malone's after the Pigface show.
Yes.
What is this? It's a bar. It's a laundromat, and
Yes,
there's a Roundhead were playing with Bob Rukoft, who went on to play with Afghan Wigs. She's playing cello in a fucking laundromat, and I'm like,
it is punk rock too. Please.
Oh, it's fucking great. I'm like, hey, you don't know me. I'm like, oh, this is already going badly. I've got a band called Pigface. She's like, yeah. I'm like, I've loved cello ever since the Flowers of Romance. There's our pill tie-in today. You should come on the road with my band tomorrow. And I didn't think for a second that she'd do it, but I love cello so much, and she was so good. And the next day, I said, the bus is leaving at 10 if you want to come on tour with us.
That was after the Pigface show.
Yeah. And then the next morning, one of my crew guys, Phil, is like, there's a fucking girl here with a fucking cello. Where are we going to put the fucking cello now? And I'm like, it's all right. It's Barb Rukoff. And now she's with the Seattle Symphony. And heartbreakingly, myself, people from the Fook album, myself, Chris Connolly, Bob Rukoff, Andrew Weiss, Mary Biker, Leslie Rankine, like 85% of the people still living are on the album. Bill Rieflin, we were going to be united on the West Coast, and the tour was canceled, and Bill Rieflin died, and that's fucking that. So, yeah.
Okay, hey, one last thing about that Sudsy Malone's. When I was a kid, I saw Wesley Willis there. Have you ever heard of Wesley Willis?
Yeah, he used to come to the Invisible Records office in Chicago.
There you go. Yeah. I had one of his art pieces. I needed money one year, and I sold it on eBay for $800. But I bought it from him for $15. But I wish I had his original art piece back.
Super cool guy. Super cool music.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking, Jeremy.
Thanks, Martin. I appreciate you.
Hey,
Love
Becky,
you, man.
how you doing?
Can you hear? My voice is kind of sore right now.
Okay.
Is Quentin up there?
You were during your demonstration about the drumming, where you started laying the multiple layers on there. I was curious if you were like, what other kind of sources you were referencing there. I mean, it was very mechanical because it was based on the clock, but I had just happened to be listening to some Balinese Jagog music. It's a bamboo gamelan music right before this, which is just, it's really intense music. And so in my brain, I formed some connections there.
Well, actually, the song called Jaime's Hymn, I think, has a gamelan, a bamboo gamelan in there. Somebody gifted Keith that piece, and he used it on a track. But I think one of the things I like about performing with mechanical pieces is pushing and pulling against them. Like, I can lock to a click, but I like pushing and pulling and creating tension with something else. I don't like playing with empty headphones. So one of the things that I do before a session is I create soundscapes for me to work to. I did the same thing when I was working in China with an orchestra there, a small orchestra. I created some pieces because I knew I wanted to chop the shit out of what they were doing and loop it and change it around, but I didn't want them to understand that and play to a click. So I created some, hey, play along with this vibe, and then I chopped the shit out of it afterwards. Thanks. I'm going to say hi to Betsy now. Hey, Betsy. Are you, I think you might be muted. Yeah, I think you're muted, Betsy. Am I muted? No. Oh, hello. Who's this? Who's this then?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, okay. You can't hear
Hey,
me.
Garrett, how are you?
I am well, thank you. Greetings from San Diego.
Hey, you know, I just posted a picture 2 days ago, no, on Sunday, of me with Chuck D at San Diego music thing, maybe 10 years ago. I don't know if you've been out there for a while. That was a great musical event.
I remember that. It was one of San Diego's efforts to try to compete with South by Southwest. It was a pretty happening thing. My band was actually tentatively scheduled to play that, but it didn't happen. Long story. The one track on Flowers of Romance that always stands out in my mind that just really grabbed me is the first one, Four Enclosed Walls. And even when I played it for friends, they always comment on the same thing that grabbed me about it, is that when you hear those drums, it's like you can just hear the whole room. And, well, first question, am I correct in assuming that it was recorded in the Stone Room? It was, okay. Now, is that like a fast, like slapback reverb, or I mean, where did that sound come from? How did you get that?
So, I had a picture of the room early on in that presentation. It's
right. I saw that.
Stone. It's high ceiling. The floor itself is wood, and there's a basement underneath that wooden floor, which has nothing in it, and it's a stone basement. So the floor of the room is like the head of a drum, and it just changes the way you play. You know, when I hear something like that, I hear beats that work with that room. You know, and it just like now, of course, the room doesn't exist. It's somebody's toilet in a condo, but I don't know what it would be like for somebody to go into that room now and go, oh my God, Phil Collins, Queen, all of the drums that were recorded in that room, you know, then that would add this other almost religious vibe to that, you know, to the experience of playing drums in there. I also did, I did the drums for Killing Joke Extremities album in that room.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of a nice echo, an emotional echo for me to be back in that room. Yeah.
So, studio wizardry aside, it really was the room itself as kind of the instrument that. Okay, that's good to know, because I had been racking my brain on that one for a while.
Right. But I don't know how this is going to sound. But I hit those drums like a motherfucker, right? And so, nice. I mean, I've seen videos of me, like that clip that Molly played earlier. I look at that sometimes, and the snare drum stick is going. It's like why do the stick doesn't need to go 8 feet in the air to smack the snare drum, you know? I don't know what kind of technique that is, but it does need to go 8 feet in the air to smack that snare drum. And,
amen to that.
And my right foot, you know, I used to do 8 shows a week when I was 12. So my right foot is, when I was growing up, my right foot was going very, very quickly, playing shows and backing strippers on a Sunday. So my right foot, also from playing in a band where every member of the band had at least 2 4x12 cabinets. The bass player had 2 big bass rigs. The rhythm guitarist had 2 4x12s and a set of horns. The lead guitarist had 2 4x12 Marshalls and a set of horns. And I just couldn't hear my drums. So I just, from a very young age. So there's a combination of that room, but you've got to put the energy into it to get the energy out of it.
I hear you. I was in the same situation. My first band, especially at this one particular venue we would play a lot. It's like I had a 4x12 on this side of me, I had a 4x12 on this side of me, and somewhere in all that, I'm supposed to be able to like hear myself. So I'd be pounding the shit out of my drums. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
It's actually really dangerous. So, you know, in a live situation, if I can't hear my bass drum, I could blow out my knee because I'll just keep playing harder and harder till I can hear it. And so for me, that got really dangerous at one point. Yeah.
Wow. I blew out a wrist, but never a knee. All right. Well, that answers my question. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Nice to talk to you.
Right on.
Diane, do I like Offspring? I don't know. I don't know that I do like Offspring.
Martin, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to try to unmute Betsy here.
Okay.
Hopefully this will work.
Ah. Hey, Betsy.
Oh.
No.
It might be your permissions because you have your headphones. It might be looking for the wrong mic. I don't know who muted her just now, but.
Oh, well, Betsy, nice to see you.
You look great.
Oh.
Hi, Martin. We have a question from YouTube.
Okay.
Someone is asking, how do you see the move from analog to digital affecting drum sounds, especially from spring reverb to digital AMC and sampling drum loops?
Well, you studio fuck. So I mean, I made the switch. You know, I bought Steve Albini's 8-track and his 1/4-inch machine when he moved up to 24-track. And then when digital came in, of course, I switched to the first form of digital. And I think 5 years after that, I hadn't used tape in 5 years. And I thought, oh, I want to find that drum loop and record it, you know. And so for the first time in several years, I put the tape machine up and oh, there's that drum track. And I put the faders up and I fucking cried. Drums coming off of tape are compressed. There's something that tape does that's really special. There's a fine line. There's a magically fine line between something that grabs you and something that doesn't. When I played drums with Paul Raven from Killing Joke, Murder Inc. and Pigface, my drums sounded louder. And I'm like, whoa, we meshed together so well. My drums sounded louder. And it wasn't until working in digital audio that I understood that micro shifts, couple of clicks to the left or the right, could be the difference between low energy canceling itself out or finding a way to double itself. So I love tape. I love analog gear. I'm running PreSonus new Studio Live, just rocking software. But I have circuit bent pedals, keyboards, speak and spells. I've got my tape machines. I've got Roland tape delays. And I've got quirky analog intersound EQs and sweepable reverbs, Eventide MXR for that random bullshit to create something human and different. My studio is like a petting zoo. It's not like a laboratory. And as I was talking before about the reverence of the drum rooms, Studio 2 at the Townhouse, there's an emotional factor. There's a vibe factor of the surroundings, the environment you create to make music in, and all of these things click incrementally up or down to make that magic happen. And it is magic. You know, I've worked on songs and spent 5 days perfecting something so everything lines up, and it's total shit. It doesn't interest me. It's when things collide differently. Sometimes 3 wrongs do make a right, you know. So I love digital. I use digital to recreate the accidental surprises I make happen in my analog world and loop it up to or place those moments in the best possible context. So I'm not one of those analog's amazing. Analog is amazing, but I had a band called The Damage Manual, and I mixed that album on $9 Radio Shack speakers because I knew that's how people would be listening. So in some ways, amazing warmth and boxy low end on the drums doesn't mean anything when people are listening on their laptops, but it's certainly vibey as hell when you're in the studio making that music. That was my answer to that. Oh, thanks, Tristan. It's getting more magical as well, mate. Yeah, Tristan said, my computer used to say, save now, asshole. And then in the early days of what they called SCSI chains, hard drives didn't always work, right? So I filled my studio with religious imagery, praying hands, just hoping that everything would work. And it kind of accidentally created this like, ooh, this cool vibe. You know, it wasn't meant to be religious, but you certainly want to try and create a religious experience. So have we come to the end of the questions? That's fine. Saw a ghost where? Tristan said he saw a ghost. I mean, this did used to be a funeral home, so.
Definitely haunted, 100%. I can guarantee. I heard like someone playing drums in the middle of the night.
Yeah, me, motherfucker. Should have recorded that shit.
Oh my God.
No. Okay. Ghosts don't play drums.
Katie told me that she heard the drums playing by themselves too. I didn't even think about it until Katie brought it up, and I was like, oh my God, it's actually haunted.
Yeah. That's what it was.
I promise.
Ghost percussionists. It was the reverb from my amazing beat I did 10 years ago. It's still echoing.
It looks like we have another question from Patrick from earlier here in the Zoom chat. What was your favorite album to listen to on acid?
I've done acid, but I haven't done a lot of acid and listened to a lot of albums on acid. So I'm terribly sorry. I think when I was on acid, I just looked at the sky. Now, Pigface, oh my goodness. From a tour management point of view, if I can switch subjects, in an early Pigface tour, 91, 92, everybody was doing acid for, I think, like 18, 22 days straight, like 5 hits. And it would just, like a performance. There's a club in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And David Souders, who booked that club, I've forgotten the name of the club. We used to buy us drinks. He had a record store, worked at the radio station, was the promoter. He was the Tulsa music scene. And there was ultraviolet light all throughout this club. And everybody got yellow wristbands. And so people were kind of dancing to a couple of songs. So everybody who's on acid, which is everybody except me, starts getting tracers from these yellow wristbands. And Chris Conley's like, stop, everybody wave your hands. There's a 10-minute interlude while everybody's just hypnotizing Chris Conley on acid. But all I could do as the producer of that tour, of the Pigface guy, I just used to go around 2 buses like, hey, everybody, 4 o'clock, time to drop. You just try and keep everybody synchronized so you don't have crazy 24/7 tripping motherfuckers. Oh, Tucker was saying something about that in Orlando. Oh my God, that guy. That guy. Miss that guy. Well, it seems to me like we have come to the end of our question time. If anybody has a burning question you want to throw in the chat, or scream at me, I don't know how it works to become unmuted, but thank you. This has been a really great 4 or 5 weeks actually, getting to know JJ. And is that a ghost? No, it isn't. Getting to know JJ and everybody at once in Somerville. I've never been to the club, but I absolutely fucking want to be there. I'm looking forward to being there. It seems like a really special place. It seems like there's a whole army of people supporting that venue. And that says a lot about everybody who's involved with the venue. My connections to Boston run very deep. It was the first place that I played in 1980. It's where I met Betsy and Paul Sherman. And who's the guy who had Jared Kozloy, Conflict fanzine? Jared Kozloy was in Boston at that time. And Oedipus and Carter Allen and Anne-Marie and Karen and all those amazing people. So it's really great to feel like I've come back to Boston for this 5-week series. And if this fucking pandemic shit is going on till Christmas, I think my proposal is that we should do another run of these, maybe October or something. And we'll keep this going. For anybody who's listening, who's having a really bad time, do something. Sometimes the problems in this world are so fucking big and it seems like we can't do anything. I say sometimes all you can do is the dishes. I came back from a meeting with the guys who make my coffee, and I started printing brown paper bags, and I spent a few hours printing brown paper bags, which is a very small and very cheap thing to do, which created eventually $15,000 of benefit for that coffee company. And I was so happy that I hypnotized myself printing these bags. I felt like everything's crazy, but I'm being productive. And as silly as it seems, that act of printing brown paper bags really made a difference. So stop worrying about really big shit and start thinking about really small shit and helping the people around you.